Ethan Hale had crossed 14 light years, passed 3 medical checks, and signed more documents than he could count. Still, nothing had prepared him for standing outside a door labeled Shared Living Quarters, Emotional Compatibility Program. He read the sign again, slower this time. Emotional compatibility, he muttered. The Galactic Research Station Aurea floated quietly near a blue-white star, a place built for science, peace, and cultural exchange. Humans were still new here. Ethan was not a soldier or a scientist. He was something stranger, a cultural exchange specialist. His job was to live among aliens, learn how they thought, and help them understand humans in return. Usually that meant long talks, awkward meals, and correcting bad assumptions like humans sleep hanging upside down, or humans explode when exposed to cold. He had expected a small private room, maybe shared bathrooms, definitely not this. The station AI had assured him everything was normal. Shared rooms increase cultural bonding by 47%, the AI had said in its calm voice. Ethan had shrugged and rolled his suitcase inside. The room was larger than he expected, divided into 2 equal halves. One side looked human enough. A simple bed, storage unit, desk, and soft lighting. The other side looked like it belonged in a museum. Smooth, curved furniture glowed faintly in soft colors. Strange symbols shimmered along the walls, like slow-moving light. And standing in the middle of the room was his roommate. She was taller than Ethan by a few inches, with soft blue skin that shifted slightly in shade when she moved. Her eyes were large and dark, reflecting light like calm water. Thin markings glowed along her temples, pulsing slowly. She wore flowing station clothing that looked comfortable and carefully arranged. She turned to him and placed a hand over her chest. "I am Lirathe," she said gently.
"I am pleased we will share feelings."
Ethan blinked. Nice to meet you," he said, automatically holding out his hand. She looked at his hand, tilted her head, and then touched it briefly, as if testing the idea. "Yes," she said, "this will be acceptable." Ethan smiled awkwardly and dragged his suitcase toward his side of the room. "So," he said, trying to sound casual, "I guess we're roommates." "Yes," Lirathe replied. "Room-sharing partners." "Cool." "That's cool," Ethan said. "I've had roommates before. As long as we respect each other's space, it should be fine." Lirate's markings pulsed a little brighter. "Space is shared," she said calmly. "So are feelings." Ethan laughed. "Good one," he said. "Is that like a saying?" She stared at him. "No." His laughter slowed. "No? In my culture," she explained, "sharing a living space means sharing emotional states. Transparency builds trust. Trust builds harmony." Ethan opened his mouth, then closed it again. "Oh," he said finally. "You mean like talking sometimes?" "Yes," she said, continuously. Ethan rubbed the back of his neck.
"Right. I think there might be a misunderstanding."
"Humans don't usually—" The station AI interrupted. Clarification. Lirathe's statement is culturally accurate. Human Ethan Hale has been assigned to an emotional sharing living arrangement as part of the exchange program. Ethan looked up at the ceiling. "Of course I have," he whispered. Lirathe moved gracefully to her side of the room and adjusted the lighting. The colors softened, blending across the space. "I have already prepared the environment for balance," she said. "Please inform me if your emotional state becomes unstable." "My emotional state is fine," Ethan said quickly, her eyes focused on him. That response suggests uncertainty. He sighed. "Look," he said, sitting on his bed. "I promise I'll be polite. I'll keep things clean. I won't touch your stuff. But humans usually keep their feelings private." Lyrithe considered this, that is, unusual, she said slowly. How do humans maintain internal order?
Ethan smiled a little. We joke.
We distract ourselves. We talk when it gets bad. When it gets bad? She repeated. Yeah. You know. Fear, sadness. Her markings dimmed slightly. You carry these things alone?
Not always, he said.
But we don't share them just because we share a room. She sat down on a smooth, curved seat that seemed to grow out of the floor. This assignment will be educational, she said. The first night was quiet. Too quiet. Ethan lay awake, staring at the ceiling, listening to the gentle hum of the station. Every few minutes, Lyrithe's side of the room glowed softly as her markings pulsed. Finally, she spoke. Your breathing pattern has changed, she said. Are you distressed?
Ethan froze. No, he said quickly.
Just not sleepy yet. That is not distress. Not really. Silence returned. 5 minutes later, she spoke again. You sighed, she said. Was that emotional release? Ethan buried his face in his pillow. This is going to be a long assignment, he muttered. The next morning, Ethan woke to the smell of something unfamiliar but pleasant. Lyrithe was standing near a food unit, preparing 2 meals. I have studied human nutritional needs, she said. This should be suitable. Ethan sat up, surprised. Oh. Thanks, he said. You didn't have to do that. Sharing nourishment supports emotional bonding, she replied. He accepted the meal cautiously. It tasted good, simple, comforting. That's actually really nice, he said. Her markings brightened. Positive emotional response recorded, she said. As the days passed, Ethan realized Lyrithe was always watching, not in a creepy way, but in a focused, thoughtful one. She noticed everything, his tone, his posture, the way his shoulders dropped when he was tired. You conceal exhaustion with humor, she said one evening. Yeah, he admitted. It works. For you? She said. Or for others? He didn't answer right away. That night, the station experienced a minor power fluctuation. Lights dimmed briefly, then returned. For Ethan, it was nothing. For Lyrithe, it was different. Her markings flickered rapidly. Her breathing changed. Ethan noticed immediately. Hey, he said, sitting up. You okay? She hesitated. The darkness triggered an old memory, she admitted. I am unsettled. Ethan nodded. Want to talk about it? She looked surprised. You are offering emotional support, she said. That's kind of what roommates do, he said with a small smile. She explained quietly. A past incident, isolation, fear. Ethan listened without interrupting. When she finished, she looked at him carefully. You did not attempt to fix the feeling, she said. You only listened. Sometimes that's enough, he replied. Her markings settled into a soft, steady glow. Humans are unusual, she said. He laughed softly. Yeah, we get that a lot. Later, Ethan realized something important. Sharing a room did not mean sharing every feeling. But sometimes, sharing one was enough. And somewhere deep in the station's records, an AI quietly flagged a note, Human emotional resilience exceeds initial projections. The days on Aurea Station followed a careful rhythm, one designed to keep many different species calm and productive. For Ethan Hale, that rhythm quickly became tied to Lyrithe. Every morning, the lighting in their shared room shifted slowly from dark blue to soft white. It was meant to feel natural for most species, though humans still found it a little strange. Ethan usually woke up first. He would sit on his bed for a moment, rubbing his eyes, preparing himself for the day. Almost every morning, Lyrathe noticed. "Your heartbeat is faster than normal," she said one day without looking at him. "Are you anxious?" Ethan let out a small laugh.
"No,"
he said. "Just thinking about work? Thinking causes anxiety?" she asked. "Sometimes," he replied. "Depends on what you're thinking about." She considered that carefully. Lyrathe had begun asking questions like this often. At first, Ethan thought it was just professional curiosity. She was a xenolinguist, after all. Studying how minds worked was part of her job, but he slowly realized something else was happening. She was learning him, and in return, she was letting him learn her. They spent a lot of time together, even when they weren't in the same place. During station hours, Ethan attended cultural briefings and met with alien diplomats who wanted to understand human behavior. Lyrathe worked in the translation labs, decoding emotional context in language patterns. Still, they often met for meals. The first time they ate together in the main communal hall, Ethan felt dozens of eyes on him. Humans were still rare here. Lyrathe walked beside him calmly, her posture relaxed. "You appear tense," she said quietly. "Just not used to being stared at," he replied. She paused, then moved closer to him. Not touching, but close enough that her presence was clear. "In my culture," she said, "proximity during discomfort signals support." Ethan felt his shoulders relax without thinking. "That actually helps," he admitted. As they sat, other species whispered. Some observed openly. A few recorded data. "You are being studied," Lyrathe said. "Yeah," Ethan said, smiling. "Story of my life." During meals, Lyrathe often paused to watch Ethan eat. "Humans experience pleasure from food even when nutritional value is low," she said. "Absolutely," he replied. "Sometimes especially then." She tasted a small piece of one of his dishes and paused. "This flavor has no functional benefit," she said, "yet it causes positive emotion." "Welcome to comfort food," Ethan said. She recorded that. Back in their room, the emotional rituals continued. Lyrathe still believed in nightly emotional synchronization, though she had adapted her methods slightly. Instead of long, intense sessions, she now asked simple questions. "What emotion did you experience most today?" Probably mild stress," Ethan said one night. "But also amusement." "Both simultaneously?" she asked. "Yeah?" She blinked slowly. "Humans hold contradictory emotions without distress," she said softly. "Most of the time," he replied. "We kinda get used to it." That answer stayed with her. One evening, Ethan returned from work later than usual. His steps were heavier, his smile weaker. Lyrathe noticed instantly. "You are fatigued," she said. "Long meetings," he replied, sitting down. She waited. He stared at the floor. Finally, he sighed. "They asked me why humans still form emotional bonds, even when we know they can end painfully," he said. I didn't have a good answer. "What did you feel when they asked?" she said. "Exposed," he admitted. Like they were looking at something fragile. She moved to sit across from him. "In my species," she said, "we avoid deep attachment because emotional pain can disrupt mental harmony." "Yeah," Ethan said. "We know it hurts."
We just decide it's worth it. Why? She asked.
He thought for a moment. "Because feeling nothing hurts more," he said quietly. Her markings glowed faintly. That night, Lyrathe recorded something she had never written before. Humans willingly accept emotional instability in exchange for meaning. The station began to change around them. Other residents started greeting Ethan more often. Some asked polite questions. Others were more direct. One species requested to observe human humor sessions. Another asked if humans could assist with emotional recovery programs. Ethan tried to stay humble about it. "I'm not special," he told Lyra Faye one night.
"I'm just human." She looked at him seriously. "That may be the point," she said.
As interest grew, so did pressure. One afternoon, Ethan returned, looking tense. His movements were sharp. His voice was quieter than usual. Lyra Faye waited until they were alone. "You are suppressing something," she said. Ethan hesitated. "They want me to participate in a wider emotional exposure program," he said. "Basically, become a living example." "And how does that make you feel?" she asked. "Like a tool," he admitted, "like I stopped being a person somewhere along the way." She was silent for a long moment. "Thank you for telling me," she said finally.
"That's it?" he asked, surprised. "You do not require solutions?" she said.
"You require recognition." That night, Ethan slept better than he had in days. Lyra Faye, meanwhile, lay awake, processing her own reactions. She realized she felt something unfamiliar when Ethan spoke of being used. Anger. It was quiet and controlled, but it was there. She did not record it. A few days later, Ethan found her staring at the wall, her markings dim. "You okay?" he asked. "I am confused," she said. "My emotional state has become less predictable." "Welcome to the club," he said gently. She turned to him. "You have influenced me," she said. This was not expected. "I'm sorry," he said. "I am not," she replied. "I simply need to understand it." They sat together in silence for a while. "I think emotions change us," Ethan said, eventually. "That's kind of their job." Her markings slowly brightened. "Then perhaps," she said, "sharing a room truly does mean sharing feelings." Ethan smiled. "Guess you were right," he said. Outside their room, the station AI logged another quiet update. Human emotional influence observed across species boundaries. And somewhere deep within Oria Station, something shifted. Not because of force, or technology, or power, but because one human had chosen to sit, listen, and feel. By the third cycle of their shared living arrangement, Ethan Hale had stopped thinking of Oria Station as a strange alien place. It had become something closer to a busy city, full of quiet routines and unexpected moments. And at the center of his days was still Lyra Faye. What had changed was how many others had begun to notice them. It started small. A researcher from a calm, insect-like species asked Ethan if humans always smiled when nervous. A soft-spoken delegate wanted to know why humans used humor during serious discussions. A station counselor asked if Ethan would agree to a recorded conversation about emotional recovery. Ethan answered politely, but each request left him more tired than the last. Lyra Faye noticed. "You are being divided," she said one evening. "Divided?" Ethan asked, sitting on his bed and pulling off his boots. "Your emotional energy," she explained. "It is spread too thin." He smiled weakly. "Guess that happens when people keep asking you to explain yourself." She watched him carefully. "You do not refuse," she said. "Even when it costs you," Ethan shrugged. "I was sent here to help," he said. "Kind of hard to say no." Lyra Faye's markings pulsed slowly, thoughtfully. In the following days, something new began to happen. Other species started requesting shared quarters with humans. At first, it was experimental. One human engineer was paired with a logical, emotion-avoidant alien. Another human medic was assigned to a species that rarely spoke at all. Reports came in quickly. Humans talked. But humans listened. Humans adapted. The station AI compiled data, and the conclusions were clear. Humans were emotionally flexible in a way few species were. Lyra Faye read the reports late at night while Ethan slept. With each line, she felt something tighten inside her, a quiet discomfort she did not fully understand. During one evening meal, a tall crystalline being approached their table. "Human Ethan Hale," it said. "Your presence has proven beneficial."
We request temporary emotional proximity. Ethan blinked. I'm sorry.
"What?" "We wish to share a room," the being said calmly. Ethan laughed, thinking it was a joke. Larethe did not. "That arrangement is already established," she said firmly. The being tilted slightly. "Is there exclusivity?" Ethan felt his face warm. Not like that," he said quickly. Larethe stood. "The request is denied," she said. As the being left, Ethan stared at her. "You didn't have to do that," he said quietly. "Yes," she replied. "I did." They walked back to their room in silence. Inside, Ethan finally spoke. "Lyra, what was that about?" She turned to face him. "I experienced discomfort," she said. "The idea of emotional sharing being redistributed." Ethan frowned. "Are you saying you didn't like it?" "Yes," she said simply. "That sounds a lot like—" Ethan stopped himself. "Like what?" she asked. He hesitated. "Like jealousy," he said gently. Her markings flickered rapidly. "That emotion is inefficient," she said. "Yeah," he replied. "It usually is." She sat down slowly. "I am not accustomed to it," she admitted. "It creates internal imbalance." Ethan sat across from her. "Want to talk it through?" he asked. She studied him. "You would do that?" she said. "Even now." "That's kind of my thing," he said with a small smile. They talked for a long time that night, not about rules or boundaries, but about expectations, about comfort, about what sharing feelings meant and what it didn't. Larethe listened carefully. "In your culture," she said, "do humans restrict emotional sharing to one individual?" "Sometimes," Ethan said. "Sometimes not. It depends on the relationship." "And this?" she said softly. "What is it?" He looked at her, surprised by the question. "I don't know yet," he said honestly. "But I know it matters." Her markings settled into a steady glow. The next day, the station administration contacted Ethan. They requested a formal meeting. The room was quiet, filled with representatives from several species. A holographic display showed graphs and patterns of emotional data. "Human Ethan Hale," one representative said. "Your presence has altered station emotional stability metrics." Ethan swallowed. "Is that bad?" "No," the representative replied. "It is unprecedented." They explained their plan. "A new program." Human emotional ambassadors, shared living arrangements across the station, structured emotional exchanges. Ethan listened, heart sinking. "You want to scale this?" he said. "Yes," they replied. "For the benefit of all? And what about the humans?" Ethan asked. "Did anyone ask if we're okay with becoming emotional infrastructure?" The room went quiet. After the meeting, Ethan returned to his room feeling heavy. Larethe saw it immediately. "They are expanding you," she said. "Yeah," he replied, without really seeing me. She stood close to him. "You are more than a resource," she said firmly. That night, Ethan struggled to sleep. Thoughts kept circling in his mind. Responsibility, expectation, fear of losing control over his own feelings. Larethe lay awake as well. Finally, she spoke. "You once said humans choose emotional bonds even when afraid," she said. "Yeah," Ethan replied softly. Are you afraid now? Yes, he admitted. She reached out slowly and placed her hand near his, not touching, but close enough to feel warmth. You are not alone in this fear, she said. Something in Ethan's chest loosened. The following days brought tension. Ethan was scheduled for more sessions, more talks, more observations. He smiled, joked, explained. But each night, he came back quieter. Lyrathe began declining requests on his behalf. You cannot speak for him, one researcher argued. I can protect emotional balance, she replied. Ethan found out when a request was canceled. You didn't have to do that, he said.
I chose to,
she answered.
He looked at her.
No one's ever done that for me before,
he said quietly. Her markings glowed brighter. I find, she said slowly, that I prefer this choice. The station AI made another note. Alien emotional prioritization of individual human observed. Late one evening, Ethan received a message. A possible reassignment. Private quarters. Reduced exposure. A reward. He stared at the screen for a long time. Lyrathe watched him. They are separating you, she said. Not officially, he replied. But, yeah. She felt something tighten again, stronger this time. What do you want? She asked. Ethan looked at her, really looked at her. I want to rest, he said. But I don't want to disappear. She nodded. Then we will decide together, she said. He smiled softly. Sharing feelings, right? Yes, she replied. All of them. Outside their room, Aurea Station continued its calm orbit. Scientists worked. Delegates spoke, data flowed, but something important was happening quietly, in one shared space. A human and an alien were no longer just studying emotions. They were choosing them. The message about reassignment stayed on Ethan's screen long after the lights in the room dimmed. It did not demand an answer right away, but its presence felt heavy, like a quiet pressure against his chest. Lyrathe sat across the room, watching him without interrupting. She had learned that sometimes humans needed silence before words. You have not responded, she said gently. I know, Ethan replied. I'm trying to figure out what I'm supposed to feel about it. She tilted her head. And what do you feel instead? He let out a slow breath. Tired, he said, and a little scared. Her markings dimmed slightly in sympathy. They are offering you separation, she said. Do humans view separation as relief? Sometimes, Ethan said. Sometimes it feels like freedom. Other times it feels like loss. She absorbed that quietly. The next few days were difficult. Ethan's schedule grew more crowded, not less. Even with reassignment pending, the station continued to request his presence. Each conversation felt heavier than the last. He began choosing his words more carefully, afraid of what might be taken from them and turned into policy. Lyrathe noticed changes in him that he did not mention. He laughed less. His smiles faded faster. His eyes carried a quiet strain. One evening, she spoke directly.
You are withholding, she said. Yeah, he admitted.
I don't want to give them more than they already take. That is understandable, she said. But you are also withholding from yourself. He looked at her. How do you do that? He asked. She stood and moved closer. You speak, she said simply. He shook his head. If I speak, it becomes another resource, he said. Another thing they'll analyze. Her markings flickered, unsettled. Then speak to me, she said. I am not the station. Ethan hesitated. I don't want to put this on you, he said. You are not, she replied. You are sharing. That word again. Sharing. He finally sat down, resting his elbows on his knees. I'm afraid that if I accept the private quarters, he said slowly, I'll be safe, but empty. And if I refuse, I'll be useful, but exhausted. Lyra Faye listened carefully. In my culture, she said, such a choice would not exist. Emotional well-being is prioritized over contribution. Humans don't really do that, Ethan said with a tired smile. We're kind of taught that being useful is how you earn rest. Her markings glowed brighter. That belief is harmful, she said firmly. He laughed quietly. Yeah, he said. We're still working on that. The station administration contacted Lyra Faye soon after. They requested her presence at a review council. She went alone. The council chamber was calm, filled with neutral lighting and controlled sound. Representatives spoke politely, their voices measured. Your bond with the human has influenced outcomes, one said. We must assess whether it interferes with station objectives. Lyra Faye stood tall. It enhances them, she replied. Emotion clouds objectivity, another said. Emotion informs it, she answered. They questioned her methods, her closeness, her decisions to decline requests on Ethan's behalf. Do you acknowledge personal attachment? One asked. Yes, she said without hesitation. The room grew quiet. That is irregular, the representative said. So is progress, Lyra Faye replied. When she returned, Ethan could tell something had changed. They talked to you, he said. Yes, she replied. They questioned my involvement. And? He asked. I defended it, she said. He looked at her, surprised. You didn't have to do that, he said. I chose to, she replied again. That night, the station dimmed its lights earlier than usual. It was a scheduled quiet cycle, meant to reduce stress across species. Ethan lay awake, staring at the ceiling. Lyra? He said softly. Yes, she replied.
Yeah.
If I take the private quarters, he said, will you be okay? Her silence lasted longer than usual. I will function, she said carefully. That's not what I asked, he said. She turned to face him. I will experience absence, she said, and uncertainty. He swallowed. I don't want to hurt you, he said. You are not, she replied. You are choosing. But every choice hurts someone, he said quietly. She considered that. Yes, she said, but not choosing hurts everyone. The following day, Ethan attended what he knew would be his last open session. A large group had gathered. Many watched closely, waiting for insight, comfort, or inspiration. Ethan stood still for a moment before speaking. I need to say something, he said. The room quieted. Humans can share emotions, he continued, but we're not endless. We feel deeply because we're fragile, not because we're strong all the time. Some shifted uncomfortably. We don't heal by being observed, he said. We heal by being understood. The station AI recorded silence across the chamber. Afterward, several requests were withdrawn. When Ethan returned to the room, Lyra Faye was waiting. You set a boundary, she said. About time. She looked at him with something like pride. Later that cycle, the reassignment timer expired. Ethan had to choose. He stood in the center of the room, tablet in hand. One option glowed softly. Private quarters confirmed. Lyra Faye stood nearby, not speaking. Ethan looked around. The shared space, the strange furniture, the quiet understanding that had grown here. He looked at her. If I stay, he said, it won't be because I'm useful. She nodded. If I ask you to stay, she said, It will not be because I need you." They held each other's gaze. Ethan lowered the tablet. "I want to stay," he said. Her markings brightened, steady and warm. "I accept this choice," she said. The station AI updated the assignment. Reassignment declined by human subject. Within hours, messages spread across Aurea Station. Confusion, debate, quiet interest. A human had chosen shared space over isolation. An alien had supported the choice. That night, the room felt different. Calmer, not because pressure was gone, but because it was shared. Ethan sat beside Lyra Thay. "Guess we're really doing this," he said.
"Yes," she replied.
Together. He smiled. "Sharing feelings," he said. "And responsibility," she added. Outside, the station continued its orbit, unchanged in structure but altered in meaning. Because for the first time, a policy had bent around a feeling. And it had not broken. The station did not react loudly to Ethan's choice. There were no alarms, no arguments in public halls, no sudden changes in routine. Aurea Station rarely did anything loudly. Instead, it responded the way it always did, with quiet adjustments. Schedules shifted, observation requests slowed. New directives appeared in internal systems, written carefully and without emotion. Ethan noticed the change slowly. The first sign came when no one asked him to explain human sadness for an entire day. The second was when a counselor from another species passed him in the corridor and simply nodded, instead of stopping him with questions. The third was when the station AI sent him a short message. "Human Ethan Hale, your emotional load has decreased by 32%. Ethan stared at the message for a moment, then laughed softly. "That's good," he said aloud. Lyra Thay was nearby, adjusting the light patterns in their room. She turned toward him. "You are relieved," she said. "Yeah," he replied. "I really am." She paused, then allowed the room's colors to soften further, a calm blend they had both come to like. "You changed the station," she said. He shook his head. "No," he said. "I just said no." She considered that. In many cultures, she said, that is the most difficult change. Over the following cycles, something unexpected happened. Other humans began doing the same. A human engineer declined an additional emotional session. A medic requested rest time written into their schedule. A linguist asked for limits on observation. None of them were punished. Instead, the station adapted. The AI began adding a new variable into its calculations. Consent. Lyra Thay noticed it first in the data logs. "Human behavior is influencing station ethics," she said quietly one night. Ethan smiled tiredly. "Yeah," he said. "We tend to do that by accident. Requests still came, but they were different now. More careful, more respectful. Some aliens did not want humans to explain emotions anymore. They wanted humans to sit with them, and sometimes humans said yes, and sometimes they said no. Both answers were accepted. One evening, Lyra Thay returned from the research wing with an expression Ethan had learned to recognize as thoughtful concern. "They are revising the exchange program," she said.
"That sounds serious,"
Ethan replied.
"It is,"
she said. "They wish to formalize a new concept." He raised an eyebrow. "Let me guess," he said. "Something we do without thinking?" "Yes," she said. "They call it voluntary emotional presence." Ethan laughed softly. "That's a very fancy way of saying being there," he said. "Exactly," she replied. The new policy spread quietly. It did not demand humans be emotional guides. It did not assign them as tools. It simply acknowledged that emotional sharing only worked when it was chosen. Many species found this confusing. Some found it uncomfortable, but none could deny the results. Stress indicators dropped. Recovery times improved. Conflicts resolved faster, not through force or logic, but through understanding. Lyrithe recorded everything, but she also felt it. She noticed how her own emotional balance had changed since meeting Ethan. She felt uncertainty more often, but she also felt clarity, fear, but also courage, attachment, but also freedom. One night she asked him something she had been thinking about for a long time. When humans bond, she said, do they always name it? Ethan thought about that. Sometimes, he said, but sometimes naming it makes it smaller than it really is. She considered his words. Then, what is this? She asked softly. He looked at her, not rushed, not afraid. This, he said, is choosing each other's presence. Her markings glowed warm and steady. That is sufficient, she said. The station council eventually requested a final review, not an interrogation, a reflection. Ethan and Lyrithe stood together in the chamber, not as subjects but as participants. A representative spoke.
Human Ethan, hail.
Your species demonstrates emotional endurance without rigidity.
This was unexpected. Ethan nodded. We break, he said simply. We just don't stay broken. Another representative turned to Lyrithe. And you, it said, have altered your cultural practices.
Yes, she replied. My choice.
Do you regret it? The council asked. She did not hesitate. No, she said. The room accepted that answer. When they returned to their quarters, the space felt full, not of noise or activity, but of meaning. Ethan sat down, letting out a long breath. I think, he said, this might be the first time I've ever done something this important, just by being honest. Lyrithe sat beside him.
Honesty is rare, she said, but humans treat it as ordinary. Only when we feel safe, he replied.
She turned to him. You are safe here, she said. He believed her. Months passed. Humans were no longer seen as emotional resources. They were seen as emotional partners, not because they were perfect, but because they were willing. Willing to feel, willing to recover, willing to stay. The station AI logged its final assessment of the human presence. Humans do not dominate emotionally. They endure. Late one cycle, Ethan stood by the viewing window, watching the distant star glow quietly. Lyrithe joined him. Do you miss Earth? She asked. Sometimes, he said, but not in a painful way. She nodded. You have expanded your sense of home, she said. Guess I have, he replied. She stood a little closer. Sharing a room, she said softly, did mean sharing feelings. Ethan smiled. Yeah, he said, you were right. Outside, Aurea Station continued its calm orbit, unchanged in shape, but transformed in spirit. Not by force, not by power, but by one human who chose to feel, and an alien who chose to feel with him. And that, the galaxy quietly learned, was what made humans truly remarkable.